What's going on, guys? It's me, Junlana Fan HC here, and today we have another unboxing video for you guys. I hope you guys are excited for today's video. So with that being said, let's have a look at this. So, quite a smaller box than normal when in terms of my mall unboxings, but I did got some new GSE equipment with me, and this is actually a new GSE. I don't think this has been talked too much on the mall playing community or what I would see on YouTube, but I do want to introduce this new GSE company for the first time for my channel. And as you can see, it's a small box, and as you can see, this comes from Tiny Tug Designs. Now, Tiny Tug Designs, they are another 3D printed GSE company. They don't have like a social media page, like they do have a social media page, but they do not have like a website or anything. They just only have an eBay. And yeah, if you want to purchase some GSE for then you might as well go on eBay. But they do got some really cool one for other GSE offerings right here, and I'm just excited to showcase them to you guys in today's video. Now, this is my first purchase of them. They also have some baggage carts and a tug as well, so I might as well have to get those. But this box does not have tugs, as I do want these extra features for many of my airport updates that I would do. So, with that being said, let's have a look at these. So I do want to like unbox them like so. And yeah, once again, it's a very tiny box, and yeah, they do 3D printed GSE equipment similar to Jetset models. So yeah, let's have a look at Tiny Tug Designs and see what I think of them. Alright. Now, how do I... Okay, there is like a tape. There's tape that's wrapped around over here, so let me just like cut through here. It's gonna take a bit, but I think I can try to get it. Oh, but there we go. Alright, and I believe there's like some more. Yeah, I think there's this. So let's unbox it. Not sure if I'm trying to like make sure that it's centered on my camera. Okay, this is kind of like an interesting box. I mean, it's small, but it kind of feels a bit harder to like open given the circumstances. But if I could try, yeah, it's gonna take a bit, so bear with me, guys. I might rip the box, but if it is what it is, or maybe I could just like cut through here so we can make the process. There we go. Yeah, just make the process more easier just by cutting through there. And yeah, so here it is. Warning: choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years old. And here is their business card right there. So thank you for your purchase. Let us know how else we can help you bring your mall airport to life. And you can follow them on their Instagram page at Tiny Tug Designs. And they're, as you can see by like the shipment, they are based out of North Carolina, more in particular Charlotte. So, but under that, I'm just gonna wrap what's under the... Well, there they are right there. So under the packing paper, you can see all the GSE equipment right there. So you have lab trucks, and on how they would call this on the website, these are pushback tugs for larger aircraft. So really nice to have these in my 1 for 100 collection. And overall, we're just gonna unbox them. Well, I'm just gonna go each GSE equipment one by one. So without being said, just gonna like position on all these. And here they all are. So as you can see, I have 2 pushback tugs right here. So these are the large pushback tugs for wide-body aircraft, and I also have 2 lab trucks as well. Both of them come in a set of 4. Now, I'm eager to see if I can try purchasing some of their like tugs, like, you know, the tugs and the baggage carts as well. But I think that's gonna be on a future video that I'm gonna be doing, because like they got some, again, Tiny Tug Designs has some really cool offerings they have on sale on their eBay. So yeah, I would highly recommend checking out their website. And I believe I think that's just tinytugdesigns.com, but once again, I think they mostly have an eBay page. I might have to look at that link just to make sure that they have an official website. But what I do want to start with first is the pushback tug, so I'll start with that, and then afterwards I'm going to go into the lab trucks. So with that being said, let me get started with the pushback tugs, and I'll analyze them in depth in like the next portion of this video. So with that being said, let's get started with the pushback tugs. Okay, so let's get started with the wide body pushback tugs. Now, these are the tugs that usually pushes back wide body planes like the 777, the A380, the 747, but they also have some smaller pushback tugs that push back narrow body planes. I decided to get these because I think these actually have a really cool, this has a really cool design. So as with most of these GSCs, now jet set models used to have this in the past, but they would come in like a small Ziploc bag. So what I would just do is I would like just open it like so, and as I take them out, here they all are right there. So let me set the, I think this should be easy to arrange them. So I do want to like go over the details with them. So let me just zoom in up close. And as you can see, they do have a nice design despite being 3D printed. So as you can pretty much see, let me just set one of these aside, and then we're going to take a look at this. So as you can see, so here is the right side of the pushback tug. Now as you can see, I mean, it's 1/400, but I do love the various like details they have. So here is the tires, and then you got the set of windows, and then you can see the tow bar that's connected into the vehicle right there. And overall, I do like this design is just like really cool. So it kind of reminds me of the Gemini Jets wide body pushback tugs. I will have to do a comparison on many of these pushback tugs on a clip that I'll do after I review the lab trucks. But as you can see, the detailing in this, I mean, while it's not really as like good as like, I think Jetset models has some good details, but still, I do like the fact they have these really cool details on this model. So here's the the port side of the vehicle right there. So as mentioned before, similar to the starboard area, and then here is the back side. Now, yeah, really cool stuff right there. And overall, these are really cool. So really cool to have for my model airport. So here is the top portion of the car, or just the tug itself, and then the bottom side, nothing too much on the bottom side, but still really nice features right there on these pushback tugs. And overall, I think Tiny Tug Designs did an excellent job on representing these in 1/400 form. So I'll probably feature these in an airport update at some point for if I would like pushback some wide body planes. But still, this is really cool to have for my collection, my GSE stuff. And overall, these are really fantastic, I gotta say. So, looking forward to hopefully featuring these particular GSE equipment in my airport updates whenever I push back planes. And overall, these are really nice assets for my pushback tugs. So, yeah, that's it for the pushback tugs. And as you can see, it's just a short in-depth review. Once again, these are just tiny 3D design models right there. So overall, nothing really to go over too much. But we're going to be moving on to the lab trucks. So without being said, and I believe I'll probably get into more detail on those if possible. But we're going to be moving on to the lab trucks. So without being said, let me put these aside. And then we're going to be moving on to the lab trucks. And now we get into the lab trucks. Now, from what I understand, I don't think there are no like lab trucks that were made in 1/400 GSC form before. So this could be the first debut of one, and I think Tiny Tug Designs were the first ones to design them. I just think Gemini just never had some lab trucks, so this is quite new to 1/400 model collecting, especially for GSC equipment if you want some more. So as mentioned before on those pushback tugs, they come in a set of 4, they come in a the Ziploc bag, and overall, really got to have these for my collection, for my GSC equipment. And here they are right there. So, yeah, I think these have some more detail than the pushback tugs, and overall, I think they actually look very nice when I look at it. So, here they are when I zoom in up close. Let me set those aside, and we're going to review this one right here. So, here is our Tiny Tug Design lab truck right there. As you can see, let's get into the review. So you got all the various like details right there. I think there's a lot more details on the lab trucks rather than the pushback tugs. So you can see some extra fairings right there. You got like, I'm guessing that could be like some kind of like used for like, I'm not really quite sure, but I think it's like a bumper, I guess. There's also some details on the tires as well. And then you got the lab areas right there, so you can have one section and another section just to like dump all the waste that's inside the aircraft. And then you can see some other details right there. I think this is the way they were like storing all the fluids. And then you can see the person who's going to be operating that. I think this person, like the worker, is going to be going in there, and then that's a raised platform, so therefore they can like put the hose onto like a certain portion of the plane, and they can like just dump out the waste over there. So kind of like just circling around, so kind of like showing the back side. Now we're going to move on to the starboard side of the vehicle. So as you can see, same goes to like this side right there. There's some really good details on that. And then as you can see on the front, you can see the grill over there. I do like the fact that they added like a nice detail to the grill, and then you can see some headlights as well, and then there's like the driver's side. So overall, again, just a short review on these. So overall, these actually look really cool, and yeah, I'm really glad to have these, so that way I can like do something with many of my airport planes, like many of my planes that are parked at the gate. Like when the aircraft arrives, the lab trucks can service the plane to dump all the waste after that particular flight. So really nice to have these, and overall, these are really cool. And once again, I believe Tiny Tug Designs are the first one to make these lab trucks. So it's really cool. We're getting some variety from them, and overall, it just looks really nice and detailed as compared with the Tiny Tug Designs pushback tug. But don't get me wrong, the large pushback tugs, they also have really good designs too. But I believe there should be at least more detail on the Tiny Tug, on those pushback tugs, rather than like what I'm seeing here on those lab trucks. But overall, really nice sets right here. Now what I'm gonna do next is try to compare a couple of models compared to, like, compare some of my GSE equipment, compared, like, let me rephrase that. So I'm gonna compare some of my GSE equipment I have compared to these Tiny Tug Design GSCs, and let's see if there's any difference between them. So without being said, more in particular, I'm gonna compare that to my pushback tugs. So I think I have a couple. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm going to be comparing some of my other GSCs I had compared to my Tiny Tug Designs, and then we're going to see what the similarities are and the differences are. So without being said, let me get some of my GSC equipment and we're going to compare them. More in particular, my pushback tugs. So without being said, let's get into that portion. Alright, so what I have here are two pushback tugs, but come from 3 different brands. So on your, pretty much on the left side, you have one that's from Gemini Jets, one from Jet Set Models, and then of course we have the Tiny Tug Design version right here. So let me start off with a Gemini Jets version. So as you can see, it's not like the pushback tug is one piece, as the tow bar is a separate piece as compared to this pushback tug. But one kind of like common thing that I would see is like they almost look similar in the design, as you can pretty much tell. So yeah, kind of like if I were to like place them up here, let me try to like, how can I settle this? So there you go. So kind of like something like this. It almost looks similar in design, but the Gemini Jets version kind of like doesn't have that pretty much details. So I think the Tiny Tug Design on this one has more details as compared to the Gemini. Let me try to like position on the starboard side. I mean, let me see if I could try putting it in my hand. So, okay, so there we go. So as you can see, this is what they look like on the side, on the right. I think this could be the right profile of it, or left side. So as you can see, but I do like the fact that the Gemini Jets version has some windshield wipers on this version. So yeah, but as you can see, quite a big difference right there. But as I pull up my one from Jet Set Models, this is the United Airlines one, by the way. I believe the Jet Set version is a lot wider compared to like the Tiny Tug one, as I pull up a top portion, as you can see. So yeah, the Tiny Tug is much thinner than the Jet Set one, but the profile on how the material is being made is almost similar, because like both of these models are 3D printed. So as you can see, here is the big difference compared to these two models, or these two pushback tugs. But overall, I think both Jet Set, Gemini, and Tiny Tugs have some amazing pushback designs, like pushback tug designs, and overall I think they did an excellent job on these. But it's the Gemini that kind of has a bit of like, you know, building, like kind of just, once again, the tow bar is a separate piece, so you're gonna have to connect this to a pushback tug in order for it to like actually look something similar to this. But yeah, those are like your differences between the Tiny Tug compared to the Jet Set and Gemini. So that's it for this video. So overall, really glad to have these, and for the conclusion of this video, I do want to demonstrate on what it will look like on one of my model planes. So that being said, let me get one of my model planes out, and then we're going to conclude this video from here. And here's what it looks like when I added my model planes to it. So I'm demonstrating this with my Phoenix model, Lufthansa AT4600, and as you can see, honestly it does look very nice. So here is the large aircraft pushback tug, and as you can see, it does look very nice on this aircraft. And of course, you got your lab truck that is currently servicing the labs on the aircraft. So I like on how this is really represented. So with the lab truck, I also see this at work whenever, like at my work, we don't usually like bring in the lab truck. That's more on like arrival flights. But in case in case the ladder truck is needed, then they will position the plane somewhere at the stern area of the aircraft, like the empennage area, or sometimes they would put it at the forward area if they're gonna take care of the labs on the front section of the plane. Overall, this is what it looks like right there. So I think this kind of does make one of my airports look really good, like really interesting and realistic at the same time. But overall, the product I see from Tiny Tug Designs, they're absolutely amazing, and I would highly recommend buying some products on their eBay page. So once again, as I pull in the business card, so you can type in tinytugdesigns.com and it brings you directly to their eBay page, and you can also follow them on Instagram as well. So yeah, if you're new to model collecting and you want to get some GSE done, like GSE equipment in, then Tiny Tug Designs alongside with other GSE equipment brands are like really recommended, and overall I can't wait to purchase more Tiny Tug Design products in the near future. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on that post notification bell so you won't miss a new video like this anytime soon. And don't forget to check out my model plane content, and you can see all my model plane content from unboxings, reviews, and a whole lot more. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night.